permit me to talk about the cause because it's, like some persons have described it as perennial, perennial flooding. What actually caused it? And what actually caused it touches on the river and the ocean surges. And, by the tides and pushing water, to overflow its frontiers downstream. Yeah, and I'm just trying to, paint that picture of how we can intervene, how these things can be intervened, and then to ensure for more production. Because if there is no production, how will there be market for it? Because it has to start from production. Within the food supply chain, we now get to, of course, from the food supply chain and, the channel of distribution, and then get into the end user, depending on the product as well. And we will give kudos to some strong oligopolists, those who are very powerful, like we know them, those who have farms and who have also processing plants, where value can be added to agricultural crops. So the states around the major rivers that, had these surges, we are in the Benue, in the Kogi, in Anambra, in Adamawa, and others that are mostly affected states with respect to this flooding. And when you look at look at the geopolitical zones, Benue and Kogi, they are in the north central. I had mentioned about Kogi before. And then, Adamawa, it's in the northeast around, the Gombe area. And then Anambra, which is in the south east. So you can see that this is pretty challenging. I had said this before. So, and then how can the those practitioners, the key players now, or the major actors, how will they leverage on this opportunity? Yeah. Well, there are also some farmers who are not affected.
All right, I didn't really get what are the uh, actual plan that the government made to support their promise or their proposal to make sure that the Nigerian farmer are able to survive in the competition. In a play words, I'm saying, what are they doing to make sure that the farmers in Nigeria are able to farm in Nigerian land and bring that food to the Nigerian cities like Enugu, Abuja, and Lagos to feed the population?
Yeah, I think it's like I had mentioned it before that they normally work with the Federal Minister of Agriculture. Sometimes they also, most times, not even sometimes, they work with the Federal Minister of Science and Technology as well, because most of the innovative solutions like we were trying to propose the other time, we were, the Federal Minister of Science and Technology were spearheading it. There were, lots of things that I wouldn't want to go into now. But at the moment, you can see that there are subsidies, like incentives. They are being incentivized again, and also those who lost, some farmers who lost their lands, they have also been asked to, to do reports, to report, and then of course the federal ministry, they have these issues, and they are working with the government, and the government are also working with international agencies to help them out of this crisis period again. Even as, one thing I will tell you is that this time around, we are getting into the dry season also. And the dry season, like when we get into dry season, huge supplies now starts coming from the northern part of the country. And those the northern parts will keep servicing. They keep servicing the every region, and it has been happening over time. I'm not saying that there are no farmers down south during of production season, but we are getting there. And I think, like, if you ask me what should be done, I would say that we must have to, still go and identify farmers. We need to, look at borrow some leaf from Ghana. There's a lady who I know, and she is Nigerian, and she's an extension and advisory service official within the agriculture space. So they are called extension agents, and they reach out to farmers. They reach out to farmers, and of course, they are the ones who are within the space between the research and the farmer. Because, of course, if you are reaching out to farmers, you must also have to factor in that the farmers are good at what they are doing. So if you're trying to bring up an innovation to them, you have to make sure that you are also coming from that level that they already know, and paint that very good picture to them, and factoring in all the challenges and the bottlenecks that could also happen. So there is no intervention that you give to farmers that is enough for them, because their lands have spoiled. And if this can also be prevented, we have to look at what caused the flood and how that can be stopped from future occurrences, because this should not happen again. This is a very bad sign. This is a red flag to Nigeria again. And why will the giant of Africa, a whole giant, giants are known to, they are known for strength. They are known for power. And I'm not saying that giants do not suffer weakness, but we have to ensure that our agriculture returns back to what, because how can a country that is so much blessed with agricultural resources, and we are crops easily grow within that region. We have our oil palm, we have cocoa. These are cash crops, and they can grow in Nigeria as well. And now cassava is becoming very interesting as the day go by, and we can see the value chain, the cassava value chain is broadening. So we must not allow this anymore. There was so much food losses, and food losses. We can talk about food losses now because it happened in the farm and not food waste. Because food waste will happen at home, where since people are ignorant of what these issues entails, even to the environment as well.